Hey everyone, it's Claudia with Pink Teas and Things, and today you're tuning in to Squad Creators Podcast on TSH Network.
Bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it, bang it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Squad Creators Podcast on the TSH Network. I'm your host, C. Parrish. You can follow me at 12 Gone to Pearl, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. My co-host here, brother, introduce yourself to the people.
It's your boy Mike Tees. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at Mike Tees. Also, join the Facebook group Squad Creators.
Today we brought out a very, very special guest, the Queen of DTF. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, it's Claudia with Pink Teas and Things, and that's on all my social medias, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Man, anytime. So let's get into it. Claudia, can we get a brief history of Pink's Teas and Things, please?
So I started Pink's Teas and Things in 2017. And at that time, I was working full time as a travel nurse, and I didn't really take it seriously. So it was, if I made a sale, I made a sale. But if I didn't, I was still working full time. So it didn't, I still was treating it as a side hustle. And I didn't see the potential in what I could actually turn it into. Mm-hmm. So fast forward from 2017, we hit 2019, I spent the entire year traveling to Northern California and home on the weekends to Southern California. And then I realized, listen, I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. I'm hardly ever seeing my family. And I was in pursuit of climbing this, corporate ladder. But at the end of the day, I just realized, I want something more. And I know that there's something more out there. And I know that nursing is not the only thing that I'm really interested in. So then 2020 rolls around, and we all know what happened in 2020. And so I headed to New York at the beginning of, everything that was going on in the world. And that was my moment. Mm-hmm. That was when I realized, you better take these chances now. You better get out there and go after whatever you're looking for, because you can be here today and gone the next. And I wanted more time. I thought, wow, if I leave while I'm here in New York, if I don't return home to my family, the last memories that they're going to have of me is traveling to Northern California and coming home on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, that's not enough. I want more. And I know that I can do it. So that's when I started. Really, when I came home from New York, I really took a deep dive into my business, tried to figure out what was it that I wanted to do? How did I want to go about attacking it? For so long, I had shied away from social media because, believe it or not, I'm extremely private in my own personal life. And I just didn't understand it. I didn't see the value in it. So I started teeter-tottering around, playing with Instagram, and I thought, this is too much, And then one day, my daughter, who was 12 at that time, she came to me and she said, you need to start a TikTok. And I'm just going to say, it's been a whirlwind ever since. I thought she was insane. I was like, I don't know what this child is talking about. I'm not a teenager. I'm not going to be... All I thought was dancing and music. So I was like, how does that tie into what I'm planning on doing? I don't get it. And I didn't see the value, but I invested time. And let me tell you, I went down the TikTok rabbit hole pretty quickly. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's a whole business community. And from that, I've been able to grow my business far beyond what I thought I would even hit in that the first year. 2021 is when I really started hitting TikTok hard. And I realized, okay, there's a space for us, us business owners. There's a space for us over there.
So I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so that was really, that's something that I'm so grateful for that she even took the time to even suggest it. Most kids, they aren't paying attention. They're like, listen, we're in our own world over here, but I'm so thankful for her just sharing that with me and helping me kind of get set up and learn how to use the app.
So TikTok, we about 50,000 strong now, huh?
We're right there. We coming for 50. We're coming for them. We're coming for 50. It's right there. It's right there.
About 49.9, I think I saw it.
I mean, something like that.
So the printers behind you, can we talk about those?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. These are my converted printers. So they're Epson 7890s. They're converted for DTF. So I introduced you to Rose and Magenta here. And then there's another one here on my side. And I think I'm going to call that one Rose Gold, but I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I don't know how Rose is going to feel about that.
Her baby, that's her son. You had a baby.
But DTF has been direct to film printing has been something that it's taken on a completely different life form. And I would say I credit a lot of that for my business to TikTok. I started with a 17-inch printer. It was an Epson P800. Loved it. And I thought, oh, I'm going to grow my t-shirt business. I was kind of starting to dibble and dabble in kids tees and, just try different things. And I just thought this would be an amazing opportunity for me to be able to like service my customers, but not have to outsource a lot of my work, because you start to look at that like, okay, what is the cost of me outsourcing all these prints? And so that's what kind of led me on that journey. But I started with the P800. People started asking over on TikTok as I was sharing that journey, well, do you plan on selling transfers? And I was like, no, that wasn't even on my radar. But I sat down and I really thought about it. And I was like, okay, that's a possibility, because think about it. At that time, we were dealing with a lot of t-shirt shortages, and I was really tired of looking for t-shirts, to order. And I said, well, this might be a great way for me to kind of pivot a little bit in my business, but still kind of stay in the t-shirt realm, but without having to, having a lot of the hassle of outsourcing and looking for t-shirts, right?
Right.
And I started sharing that on TikTok, and when I tell you it spread like wildfires, and it was so fast that both me and my husband were just kind of like, what's next? This one printer, I had one printer at that time. I was like, this one printer can't keep up. It just couldn't keep up, And so that was when I made the change. I went from the P800 to the 7880. And then of course, from there, I was like, I need something faster. And so that's when I invested in the 7890s.
So recently, Stan Banks deemed you the queen of DTF.
Yes, he did.
And we ain't seen nobody that's doing it bigger than you or better than you at this point. Look at her. Look, go on and say it. Tell
them. First of all, number one, it's just an honor to even have someone that I consider a Stan, and I know I say it jokingly, but I'm like, what? Stan Banks? I was watching you on YouTube. What are you talking about? And so that's when I tell people about the power of social media and like putting your business out there. For me, it was humbling. Like, I didn't even know how to react at first. I was like, man, stop it. What are you talking about? Stop it. But then we had a conversation, and I realized you have to learn how to don't take it as, for me, I kind of retreat into myself like, whoa, that is weird. Like, cause I just think it's just me, right? I'm running my everyday life. I don't think about how I'm being perceived, like outside of my space. And so those are those moments where it's really humbling. I'm very grateful and I'm thankful for. So I told him, I said, I'll definitely take on that title then.
You definitely have earned it. You're definitely I consistently see you on all the medias, Instagram the most. I try to dibble and dabble with TikTok. It's just not there for me all the way yet, but I'm not fully applying myself either. So
it's possible.
On the DTF, as far as the transfers, I don't think you were quite selling them at the time that we talked. So you transitioned.
Just started. Mm-hmm.
So can I stop you right there? I'm sorry, but I gotta say this. I want everybody out there to know that we were some of the first people to recognize the success that she was coming towards. So if y'all look back a long time ago, we did this before. just had to, name drop. That was Squad Creators Podcast for the record.
That's right, on TSH Network. That's right.
Right.
That's right. That's right. You guys did actually, and I was like, I remember you guys. We were talking about it, and I was like, okay, if you say so. I mean, I guess, guys. I guess I don't know.
Well,
but it was such an amazing experience.
And it's you got that personality that is like bubbly. You're made for this. You were made to do this. Like them. Wow. I don't know how you come up with your marketing ideas, but them little 7 seconds or whatever, 15 seconds, they're impactful. You know what I mean? Like,
thank you.
Very impactful, and you got that attitude. So I'm sorry I interrupted Mike's question there.
Wow, I appreciate that though.
No, it's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's amazing what you do.
So I was just gonna ask, at that time when you wasn't until now, like, is that overwhelming? I know you had to shift and change a lot of things to get to the position of just selling transfers. Is that like, how do you organize?
It is. It is. It really was. And to be honest with you guys, it was so overwhelming initially. I know this is really funny, but I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. It was so overwhelming that like my husband was like, I don't know how much more you can really kind of take on here. Like, are you, I don't know where this is going, but I just know that it's taking off really fast. And so fast forward, we're doing the transfers. And I think when I came on your show, I had just started, like fresh started. Okay. So in December, we transitioned. And remember, I was in my spare bedroom that was in my home at that time. And we were outgrowing that space. We added a second printer. I had to move my heat press out into another part of our home. I knew at that point, I was saying to myself, okay, that we're still not able to keep up. Like, what is going on here? I don't want another printer, but I'm leaning towards, I need another printer, right? Because each printer for me, I think about it numbers wise, that just increases how many I can actually print per hour. And it was a complete restructuring. T-shirts and transfers are two different things. I'm now worried about the temperature in the room where I'm making my transfers. I'm tracking humidity. It's completely different. And I'm also servicing a different population of customers. And so it was like, I had to really kind of wrap my mind around who I'm servicing, what is my purpose, how do I make this as seamless as possible? And can I tell you that I made mistakes along the way? Absolutely. I went from being very small, like I had my school contracts and, I was good, right? And I'm just thinking, I'll just be able to keep more of that profit. I went from that to like, I'm working 12, 14-hour days in my home, like just keep up. And so there was a lot of adjustments. I had to create systems so that, not only are, me and my husband communicating, but we have to also have some nonverbal communication as well, how we're tracking our orders, how to keep track of when something is set to go out. When do these need to actually go out by? And so I used a lot of the tools in Shopify, but a lot of it was just developing systems around the office so that we weren't spending time re-asking questions like, has the artwork for this? Because remember, we're also doing customs.
Yeah.
So, because we're working with people, as new as I'm just kind of getting into the t-shirt game on up to those that have been using transfers for years. So the design work, right? Then there's that component that comes into it. It was bananas. It was really bananas in the beginning. Yeah, for sure.
So you also sell stock transfers as well, right?
Yes, I do. And I just kind of started to venture into offering screen prints as well. Why? Well, I have a lot of customers that are like, listen, we really love the multicolors, but I don't always need a multicolor. And I kind of agree with them. DTF is not the best candidate when it comes to just one single color. transfer. It just doesn't make sense. And so I want to be able to service those customers as well, the ones that come to me and say, listen, I just need a one color. And so I'm kind of adding that component as well to the business. And I just kind of announced that today, that was being added to Pink's Tees. So
you actually screen print yourself?
No, I actually order them. I order screen print transfers, one colors, stock for now. I don't think that I'll do I won't go the custom route, but for now I'll order just some, stock transfers that I can include for those people that are looking for something that's at a lower price point and doesn't require that much color.
That's awesome.
See, that's dope.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Now we're gonna have a queen of screen print transfers here.
Oh Lord, I don't know.
You like one of them people that like with this, since this DTF stuff has kicked off, you seem to be had that Midas touch with this.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the transfers is gonna do the same for you.
I believe so. Ultimately it's just about, I want people to understand, because I get so many, and a lot of the people that follow me, they're women. Okay. So it's majority women. And I just want them to feel empowered, like they can actually do this. And it doesn't have to break the bank. You don't have to have vinyl. I started with vinyl. There's nothing wrong with it. And so what I was beginning to notice was, as more and more I was talking about DTF, people were like, oh my gosh, but I don't have the budget for that. I don't have the budget to go out and buy, equipment right now. And I'm like, listen, you use this as an opportunity. I don't expect you to be my customer forever. Sure. I don't expect that. I expect you to use this as an opportunity to keep your business going and to grow your business and move into whatever it is you want, to move into. If it's DTF, I don't care if it's screen prints. I don't care if it's vinyl. Whatever you want to do is possible, but it starts here. You have to believe it, you really have to believe that it's possible. So I've enjoyed that component of it, I think, the most. It's just, yeah.
I gotta ask this. So we can reach out to you and actually be like almost a third party or a middleman to selling transfers, and you'll print them for us. Okay. Mm-hmm. So is there a minimal or a maximum that you can do with that?
So right now I don't have any minimums. I don't, because I cater to the smaller businesses. And so I don't have any minimums currently. I don't really intend on doing that. It's been working for me. And it works for those that, I'm servicing, because they don't need the 10, the 20 runoffs of an image. Sometimes they only need 5. And so, I'm meeting them where they are right now. But that's for now. I mean, who knows? Later on down the line, it might change. But right now, I don't have any issues with it, numbers wise.
So what are your offers on gang sheets?
So currently, I do offer gang sheets, but just 12 by 12s and 11 by 17s. I've had a few people, I kind of shy away from the larger prints. At some point, I mean, listen, you could probably make a blanket out of DTF transfers if you wanted to gang sheet a large, blanket of film. Yeah, but for me, I'm just, 11 by 17, 12 by 12. That's what we're keeping it for.
What are the cost of those? What are the cost of the gang sheets?
So the gangs are a little bit more. They're about $10 to $12 per transfer. But I just, however many images you can fill on it, feel free. But for now, it's just a 12 by 12 and an 11 by 17. Those are the only 2 sizes that we offer for gang sheets. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are some of the maintenance things you have to do daily for your upkeep?
Oh gosh, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. One of which, like I said earlier, just monitoring your temperatures, monitoring humidity in your room, maintaining your temperatures. But just maintenance wise, I have to run. So at the end of my day, which now is the end of my day, once this is over, I'm shutting all these machines down. And what I do is I do a print head cleaning, a shoe shine method underneath my print head, because I run my machines all day. And DTF ink is really, number one, these printers were not made to run DTF ink. So
Right.
whatever you can do to kind of prolong their life, you do it. Okay. So for me, I shut them all down. I put them into service mode. I clean underneath the print head. I clean my flushing box. I clean all of that good stuff in there and just make sure that my capping station is nice and clear. And I let my print head sit on top of like a paper towel that's just soaked in cleaning solution overnight. So when I come in the next morning, all I have to do is just remove, all of those paper towels underneath my print heads. And I shake up my inks, run my cleaning for the day. And then, of course, nozzle checks. That's always important. But it's become so a part of just my routine. It doesn't even feel like it's a lot, but it is a lot. And I tell people that, like, listen, in the beginning, the first printer I had, I thought, oh boy, okay, we're gonna see where this goes. We're gonna see where this goes, because it is. But it's just because you don't know the process and you haven't developed your own system. But that's how I kind of do things. And so once my printers have been running for about 4 hours, I stop everything, we shake up our inks again, and then we run cleanings, nozzle checks again. Mainly because white ink the white ink for DTF is extremely thick. And so the minute you have a clog, that means your printer is going to be down. And when your printer's down and it's not running, that's money at that point. So, and that means you're going to be running your other two even harder. So it's a lot, but I've developed the routine. So it really doesn't feel like anything to me, as far as it's just a part of my day. Yep.
That's cool though. So what are some of the pitfalls you've seen with this journey, DTF journey?
There's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot. I think one of the biggest ones that I saw, and that was kind of why I took a step back a little bit from YouTube, was because I really wanted to figure out, like, was this really a process that could really, really help our businesses, right? If you're trying to grow your t-shirt sector, whatever you're trying to do, like, is it really a process? Because I'm not one to just ride the wave of popularity, right? And so at that time, everyone was like, oh, DTF. And I'm like, okay, I feel like it's great, but let me really work with it. And I would say one of the biggest pitfalls is that now you have so many people that have entered the space of selling DTF printers, of selling the consumables. And what I find is, how do you say this because there are so many people, some have really great products to offer. But then there are some that are not so great at products. And I feel like it's kind of taking advantage of the consumer. So I would say that's one of the biggest things, is that I feel like there's so many people now that are, I sell DTF printers, I sell this. And so I ask people to just educate themselves on what it is, what is DTF, and what is important when you're getting into it. And so I share a lot of that on my TikTok, and I've shared some on YouTube, but I have some videos that are going to be coming up on YouTube here where I'm just sharing what I've learned thus far in my journey. And in addition to that, because it's been so popular, there's so many people that want to now get into DTF, or I should probably say direct to film printing, but there's so many people that want to get into direct to film printing, but they haven't done the research and they haven't done their homework. And that's where you can really run into trouble. And I'm not in the business of like pushing something on people that I don't really believe in, or if I feel like, you're only running 10, 12 shirts a month, I wouldn't suggest DTF for you, because it is a lot of maintenance, and there is a lot of initial startup costs. And so I would say those are probably the two biggest that I've seen. Yeah, definitely.
One thing me and Mike were talking about off camera before you came on is that DTF is not for everybody. And like you said a little bit earlier, these printers are not made for this. So everybody thinks because you go get a 1430, they think I'm gonna run this transfer business. You can't run 500 prints a day off of 1430. You know what I mean?
So true.
And that's what people fail to realize. They got these small desktop printers, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. I just had a call this morning with a gentleman. that was he's interested in getting into DTF, and I'm just honest about it. And I'm like, listen, yeah, you could go grab an L1800 if that's what you want to do. I can't tell you how to spend your money or what to do with your time. But I'm going to tell you this. Those printers are not made, okay, to run. Now, these commercial printers, yeah, they're made to run, but not with DTF ink. So now you have a desktop printer and you're spending a lot of time just to print one transfer.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's not a good business model to me.
Nah, it ain't no sense.
It's just not going to work. And so, and pardon me to anyone that has an L1800, okay, because you could have several, but in my opinion, it's one of those things that that's the part that I'm not a big fan of, is that, you know, there are many that will go and they want to purchase the smaller desktops and they want to run, or let me say, they come to me and they say, I want to have a successful, you know, transfer business. And my first thought is, well, if that's the case, you're going to have to kind of show up with something a little bit bigger than an L1800. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying efficiency, time, when you think about those things, it's probably not the best decision.
It's almost like what they said about crack. One hit is too many.
You know what? I'm done. I'm done.
With the 7890, the prints, like, how much printing do you think you get done in one day if you was just a guess? You have two behind you.
I have two, and I have one off to my side here. I can print 40 prints per printer per hour.
Oh yeah, you get real money right now.
Yeah,
I can do 40 per hour. We actually just timed it because I was like, I wonder. So I wanted to get a real concrete number, but 40 prints per hour per machine. And so for me, each machine that I add, it's because I want to add, you know, more to what I can produce an hour.
Yeah. Got them 7890s. You get 40 prints an hour. Mm-hmm. So I go
per machine.
Per machine. Mm-hmm. That's 120 prints an hour with what you're working with. Mm-hmm. So I go get this little desktop printer and I got 4 prints an hour. Do the math, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the math.
I print all the way. I've heard a lot of horror stories with this direct to film.
There are a lot of horror stories out there, though, Mike. There are, because when you think about it, so a lot of people, when they see these larger printers, they're like, oh, that's way too much printer for me. But I'm going to be honest. I think the maintenance on the commercial, you know, these wide format printers is a lot easier than it is on these desktop printers. And, you know, that's just what I'm going to say. I rarely run across someone that has an L1800 that hasn't had to replace a print head or replace the entire printer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how much does those cost? How much does one 7890? One Epson 7890?
So the 7890s, they run, well, let me say this. When I first started in DTF, they were about a little bit under 10,000. And then they crept up to 10,000. And now they're about 25,000 per printer.
Stop playing with me.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
And listen, that's why I tell people, educate yourself on what you're doing, because honestly, with converting these, it's also really easy to convert. And so that's something that for me, I didn't know initially. And so just looking at videos on YouTube, talking to people that are in, you know, direct to film printing, you realize it's really easy to convert them yourself. So myself, I wouldn't pay anyone $20,000 or $25,000 for a converted printer. I just wouldn't. But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
So let me ask you, you buy a printer. It's none of my business. I'm gonna say that off top, but if you want to share, you can. So you buy a printer, and what's the typical time it takes you to get your money back off of one of these printers?
Oh gosh, you know, at that time, okay, when I was first on the show, I was just starting, right?
Right.
And I think I had maybe, let's just say, been running transfers at that point for maybe a month. I don't even know that I was a month
Yeah, it
in.
was a short time. Yeah,
it was a really short time, and I had already recouped what I had spent on the printer.
hell yeah. And
So-
that one was
But
pretty-
my printer was not 20,000.
I think that one, what you said, 7,500.
It was, yep.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And I had already recouped that money.
Man, that's a pretty sound investment right there.
It really is.
Well, I thought it was, but when you start talking to 25,000, I'm like,
Now you're like, nah.
Yeah.
no, unless it's now. Let me say this though. I don't want to say the wrong thing there, but what I will say is this: if it were coming directly from Epson or a manufacturer that actually this printer was made for direct to film printing, I would make the investment. I absolutely would. So don't misunderstand me. I would make that investment because I see the potential of what you can do with it. But for a printer that is converted, that's used, it's been converted, and then I only have a 30-day warranty with some companies on the print head. No, I'm not going to make that investment.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
I just gotta say this one time. Go Browns. Shout out to
my husband will love that. I'll make sure he listens to that part specifically.
I don't know what's up with the faces over there. You know what I'm saying?
At 3405. That's what it was.
Hey, listen, man. Listen. I'm gonna be nice, and then I'm gonna just get back to this interview. So Mrs. Claudia.
Yeah. Mrs. Claudia, I'm done. Really? I'm done. Cannot.
I will leave this. Yeah, this has got to be left in the show too. So, no, seriously. Hold on, let me wipe this off.
And we're back.
So you said you can print about 120 transfers a day. So
an hour.
I'm sorry. I'm not 125. 120 an hour. I'm sorry. So what's a typical day for printing, and then you still got to powder all this. Let's talk about that after you say a typical day of printing.
So that's printing, that's powdering, that's how many we physically here in this office can actually run.
120 an hour printed and powdered?
And powdering, yes. And so one of the things when I was on your show last, I started with a double door, convection oven, like a French door convection oven. That's what I was using at the time. Now, once the volume kind of started hitting, I then invested into a conveyor belt system. So I have an infrared, I've shown it like on TikTok, but I have one of those little dryers so I can place the transfer. It goes to the other side, and when it's done, it just falls out of that side, and they collect on one side. But it's a lot easier doing it that way versus, we were just looking for ways to shave down time. It may not seem like the opening and closing of a door is a lot of time on a convection oven, but it really is. It really is. Yeah. So that's when we made that investment. But
that's that D100, right? Vastex.
Yes. Yep. Surely did. And I think another thing that I've kind of been talking to people about, we were talking earlier about some of the pitfalls. That's another thing. The curing, right? Like you have to make sure that you're using a system. Number one, that you're in a well-ventilated area. Okay. I see people that are talking about running these transfers in their bedrooms, and I don't advise that. I don't support it. I don't advise it at all.
And that's because of the chemicals in the powder, correct?
Absolutely. So that's another thing that I've been a little bit concerned about, seeing some of the ways that like these transfers are being produced. I just wouldn't advise that you cure these transfers in a room that anyone sleeps in. And so that's kind of my next thing. So make sure that you're buying the proper filters and that you're filtering your air properly, and you have good air exchange wherever you are, wherever you're curing your transfers at.
Wow.
Thanks for
that's the first time I've heard anybody mention that.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's probably an unpopular thing to talk about, but it's the truth. Right. And so if you're not If you don't want to hear that portion, well, I mean, that's up to you, but I'm just going to put it out there. Make sure that you're in an area where you're curing these transfers safely. There isn't a dollar amount that is, worth you taking that risk, in my opinion. So,
right.
How involved is Mr. Pink in the business?
He's very involved. He is very involved. I try and tell him, like, it's okay. You don't always have to come and work, because there has to be a balance. Like,
right.
I just believe there has to be a balance. But I think the thing that I value the most about just being able to work side by side with my partner, he's really like my best friend. And so to be able to work with him every day, and to see and to hear him, even on days when I'm tired and I'm like, gosh, I just feel like I need just a little bit more rest today. He's always there to kind of give me those words of encouragement.
For sure.
You're working towards a goal. We're working towards a goal here, right? Like, we got this. We can do this. Take the break if that's what you need to do. Like, but it's okay to take a break. Like, I don't want you to feel like you taking a break is stopping anything else that's going on around here. And so I appreciate that, because not only do I believe in what I believe in as far as running my business and where my business is going to go one day, my ultimate goal, he believes it. And so it's just so rewarding. Even seeing my daughter, my daughter's like, man, Mom, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he's very, very involved. And so I appreciate him for that, because it's definitely something that I wouldn't be able to do completely on my own.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
The support of that family is strong. And then I love hearing that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I told him, I said, one day, and he laughed at me when I first said this, but I said, I'm going to retire you. I want you to really understand that when I say this. I'm going to retire you. So
no laughing matter from the looks of what you're doing. You're killing them.
I'm so serious. I love working with my family. Well, y'all know, like, it's such a beautiful feeling just to know, even if, at the end of the day, if I can't depend on anyone else, I know that I can depend on them to be here.
Yeah, man.
My daughter will cut transfers like no other. Okay. And my husband will be in here, and he will be just going to town, on printing. I know I can depend on them. And so it's a wonderful feeling. Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
Yeah.
Can you not, are you doing shirts still, like pressing of the actual DTF?
Yes, I am. I'm still doing shirts. I've thought about kind of ways that I really want to revamp and reach some different areas of shirt making. Like, I've thought about kind of getting into kids' shirts and things of that nature. But right now, I'm just thinking about growing the t-shirt business that I have right now. And so growing to other small businesses and offering them shirts. And so in my local community, though.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the schools are pretty cool, but I really love being able to work with some of the groups that are out there and some of the other small businesses that need shirts and things of that nature. So I'm hoping to kind of grow that sector a little bit more. But yep, I still do shirts. So I'll be pressing away. And
how do you find the time?
You know what? It's really difficult, Seek. It really is. And that's something that we've really been talking about here lately is I would love, and I'm really at that point where I'm ready to hire someone to help.
I like it.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Like, one day, I think I posted this, but it was, of course, like in a time lapse, but I was cutting transfers, pressing shirts, packing orders. And it was just like, and I was the only one here that day. And so I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we need help. We need some help. And so I think that's one of the next steps for us. Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
Yeah. Thank you.
What is the biggest order of transfers that you've done so far?
Oh gosh. So I've done, let me think. What's the biggest order that I've had? Because I get a lot of businesses that are looking for like 250 prints. I think, I'm trying to think, what is the absolute largest though? I don't know. Right off the top of my head, I'm going to say probably there was a football. I don't know if she was making jerseys or what it was, but she had a lot of transfers. And I think it was, let me remember the breakdown. Hold on. I think it was 80, 120. So what's that? 280?
60.
280 or 260?
Yeah, 280.
80. Yeah. So that was probably my largest, I think. But what I get a lot of is repeat customers. Yeah. So that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about it. Yeah, is that they actually are okay with coming back.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know? I think that's my largest. I don't know. Oh, no, that's not true. No, that's not true because I did an 80s theme. Oh, gosh, this was probably right after I talked to you guys. I did an 80s theme reunion, and that one was a pretty big order too, but I don't remember the exact count. I just remember it was a lot of transfers. But it was an 80s theme. It surely was. No, the football lady, but she's come back several times, so kudos to her.
So with that dryer, how many prints, how fast does it dry typically?
So for me, now it depends on your settings because you can set like the belt speed, you can set the actual temperature and the height of the heating element. But where I have it right now, it takes a little bit under a minute for each one to come off. But I can actually kind of stagger them really close to each other so that it's, it just keeps them moving right on down the line. But it's under a minute. Yep.
That's easy money right there.
It was really nice. It was a really nice investment just because, like I said, of course you can start with the convection oven, but once you start kind of doing the volume, it's really hard. And each second like counts.
One at a time is
not
going to do it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not even close.
It is definitely safe to say that Stan's designation of you as the queen of DTF it holds true. It's undeniable. I mean, just listening to your story, listening to the dedication, listening to the family work, and seeing like just the person you are. You're a nurse, so that shows you that you care about people in general, and that care definitely carries over into your business, which is really an amazing thing, So shout out to you for that, just being that person for this community.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yes. Wow. Yeah, I definitely do. I do care about it. I care about what I'm producing, and I care about, the different businesses that I'm servicing. I do. I love being able to work in this. It's just a different side, like we were talking about earlier. It was so amazing to see it from a completely different perspective. I'm no longer just servicing the person that wants a few shirts or the school. I'm servicing people that are now servicing schools. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny seeing you in this capacity because the last interview, you got that goofy, funny side, bubbly side, but I'm seeing some emotion in this interview, and it's like it's the person. I'm seeing the girl. You's a real girl,
I'm real. I'm really real.
No Pinocchio.
No Pinocchio. No Pinocchio. I'm a real girl.
Hashtag no team sleep. No sleep team. Or team
you know what? I'm really trying to just find the balance. And so part of that was realizing, yes, I may work 6 days, 7 days a week sometimes, right? But I still have to find some time to just enjoy my family. Period. And so, like I was telling you, seeing my daughter roller skate around, my office is like, wow, this is really cool. But we still have to have moments when we're outside of here. And so I take
Exactly.
that really seriously. And I think I'm no longer, I won't say team no sleep, but I'm definitely like, how can I make the most impact during the times when I'm actually awake and active? How can I maximize this time? And so when I talk to you about like adding someone to the business, that's something that I know is going to give me time to do other things that I want to do within the business. I'm looking to come back to YouTube and really just kind of hit that hard. And there's so many different things that I want to do outside of making transfers, but I want to be able to add value to our community. And so I see myself kind of moving into a realm where I really want to, really, really, really want to empower other women just to understand. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about just women, but that's who follows me, right? And so I want those people to really understand, listen, this is a real thing. And it's really possible. And I want people to start understanding the power of social media, because that was my mistake, right? And so a lot of the things that I'm speaking to, those are mistakes that I made coming into this. And so if I can share my experiences and what I've learned and perhaps empower, even if it's just one person. Like when I got a message this weekend from a woman that was like, you know what, something you said on Instagram just really ignited a fire under me. And she said she read in my bio where I said, I'm a retired self-doubter. Like I'm no longer doubting my possibilities. I'm no longer doubting the potential that I hold, right? And I'm no longer being apologetic for the things that I enjoy doing, right? And so she sent me a message of her pressing her first t-shirts. And she was like, I was really doubting myself. But my husband said, no, remember that lady that you were telling me about on Instagram? What would she say in this situation? So those are the moments that like, that's what pours back into me. That's what energizes me to like keep going. And it lets me know, okay, like I'm actually adding value, because there's no point in me being here if I'm not adding value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was well said. That message holds true in a lot of things that I do. A lot of times, with making these videos, even with coming through or coming across with the question, and it's just like in my head, is this coming out right? So I find myself stumbling a lot of times to ask that question to the fullest of its capability. But at the same time, it's just going back to what you said, having what you've poured into somebody else pour back into you to actually bring that light out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna say that like you want to empower women and leave us men out,
No, that's not what I said.
I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't say that. Hold on.
Okay, I take that back. She didn't say that. I said that. But no, seriously, you want to empower these women, right? But you had this daughter that sees you every day of her life, and I don't know her age, but one day she will be the first woman, or excuse me, how can I put it? Literally the first woman that you empowered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's where it began. So if nothing else, you got her. Her life is forever going to be successful because she sees her mother being successful.
I certainly hope so. I hope so.
Or what they call you guys, her shero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's
see that.
If nothing else, you got that part going for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see it. I see it in just the little things, like she's 13, she'll be 14 this year. Wow. But I do. I see it. I see it in her, just, her leadership that she takes on at her school, and the things that she's kind of pioneered over there. And so I do. I see remnants of it. And that's the coolest thing. That to me is like the coolest, like just to know that I'm providing her with an example of, listen, you don't have to fit in a box. You don't have to fit a mold. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You don't have to. So yeah, I would agree with that. Thank you, C, for saying that. I appreciate
it. Sure. But it's sad that us as people in general, we have to feel like we have to fit in a mold. You know, there's not too many people that take that leap and pioneer something without worried about what other people think. I think that what you've done with the DTF thing, what you've done with your TikTok, is an example of pioneering something different. I think what Mike Tees has done with his YouTube, with his businesses and stuff like that are examples of pioneering. Stan is unquestionably a pioneer. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that what Mike and I have done with Squad Creators Podcast is pioneering something different and bringing value to our community, to people in general. And I think if we have more people that are like us to build and further the community, further just in life in general, because I think everything we do touches something outside of just what we do. Like Stan says, this stuff is more than a t-shirt, it's life.
It is. It is.
I think that I'm just proud. I'm just proud to say that I can mention my name amongst these people. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the part that was kind of like humbling for me. Even when you all reached out and was like, "Do you want to come on the show?" And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, what?
yeah.
Huh? I'm brand new in these streets. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, but it's humbling, and it's like it's so cool just to be a part of a community of people that are really thinking about the community, but not just in terms of like what you can sell them, what you can, no, not just that. It's adding real like value to people.
For sure.
You know? And so when I say like I'm really passionate about empowering women, it's because number one, that's what majority of my following is women. But in addition to that, it's the stories that they've shared with me. It's the, no one in my family supports what it is that I really want to do. No one believes in it. And what I realize is it's more than equipment. It's more than you need this item, you need to go here, you need a heat press. It's so much more than that. It's believing it. It's believing in yourself enough to say that regardless of who believes in you, you believe in what you have to, whatever it is that you have to offer. And so it takes gaining some confidence in that realm. But I know what that feels like, because I remember when I said, like, I want to go full force in my business, there were many amongst me that were like, wait, what? You went to school all these years and did what? You know what I mean? Like it was, you're a nurse. Why would you want to do that? And I believed so strongly in what I wanted to do that none of that even touched me, and now those same people are coming back and they're like, this is amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I always knew it would be. You know what I mean? Like I could feel it. I knew that was an anointing though. You know what I mean? Like that is, we all have a destination, right? And we all have a path that we're supposed to follow. And when you finally feel like you're walking that path, it's amazing. It's just like doors just start opening up and you're like, wow. But all the life that you've lived up until that point has been to prepare you for that moment.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not even mad at all the other moments that I've had, right? Like, I'm not mad at them because they prepared me for this.
Period.
Yep.
I was well put, well said, right?
You touched my soul right
there. Man, because that's really what I
be feeling.
Don't get me here shouting.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
So, Claudia, we've talked about the printers that you have, the conversions, the costs, some of the different things that you offer as far as the gang sheets, the minimums, the sizes. What can we expect next from Pink Tees and things?
There's a lot that's coming. There's a lot that's coming.
Can we get a secret?
Can you get a secret?
We ain't gonna tell nobody.
Nobody, not nobody. Well, let's see. I can't share it all, but I will tell you this. I have some things coming. I have some things coming as it's related to DTF. And I want to approach DTF from more of an educational standpoint. For those that are really interested in getting into DTF, I want you to know what you're walking into before you really make that commitment. And I want you to do it safely. So when I tell you, like, I'm really passionate about certain things when it comes to DTF, I really am. And so I'm not trying to sell anyone a dream, but I want to give you the reality of what it is. And so I have something that's coming that I'm hoping will actually serve as a tool to help those that are actually looking to get into direct-to-film printing.
Well, let us know soon as, because we want to be the first to
hear. I certainly
will. I want to say they heard it first. Creative.
Of course. Of course.
So it's the just what you said, the safety part of it. That's Nurse Pink right there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because we got to do it safely. You have to do it safely. And it really is, my husband kind of makes fun of me sometimes when I'm talking because I'm like, oh, okay, I can tell the humidity is off in this room because there's certain properties of this ink. And that's what I really, honestly, I would love to get to know just the different components of some of the ink that's out there. And, because that tells you a lot about how it reacts to certain things and why it would explain a lot of the reasons why it reacts that way. And so I'm really passionate about that. I want to know more, and I'm just like a sponge, and I've always been that way, but you're right. That's the nursing side of me. So, so I want to know, the good, but there's also some cons to it. And so I'm just a realist. I'm not going to, it's probably unpopular to talk about, but it needs to be talked about. So
the unpopular topics are what make people great.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that. I'm sorry, you probably won't want to hear this, but I'm never going to tell you it's okay for you to cure transfers in your bedroom. Never going to tell you that. Not where you lay your head.
What about even the handling of the powder? Are you using respirators like over a long
time? It's
go inside your nose.
Those are the things. Those are the things. Like, you have to have really good, and these things cost. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I want to be very transparent and I want to just kind of lay it all out. Like, listen, this is what you need to have. You can't just have a regular filter. Like, it needs to also be able to filter small particles like your adhesive. Like, there are things that you need to put in place just to make sure that you're being as safe as possible. So, whether someone wants to actually listen and actually take my advice, well, that's your decision. But at least I'm sharing with you, how to actually do this, but do it safely.
Right.
I want everybody to, I want everyone to really be able to get into it if that's what you want to do. But there's some things that you need to know besides just buying a printer and adhesive and film and ink. It's more to it than that.
So I want to say, like, I'm glad this interview happened today because we were supposed to do this a couple of weeks ago, but something came up with me and I had to reschedule it. But I'm glad it was today because I feel like today was the day to talk this stuff. Like, I don't feel like if we would have did it 2 weeks ago, this interview would have went this way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like everything happens for a reason. Yep. And this is the stuff that everybody want to do DTF because they see, I can print a full print. I don't want to go to Supercolor. I don't want to go to whoever else. I can print this right at home. Yep. But we've talked about stuff here that nobody's talking about. Everybody out here trying to get the money. It's not about the dollar at this point. You know what I mean? So I feel like you spoke stuff that needs to be said. So this video gotta be cut up in little pieces and different stuff to show that to maximize the I don't even know the word I want to use to maximize the statements that have been said.
Mhm.
You got to too. Think like you don't know. You saying it's not about the money. Everybody not saying it's not about the money. The longevity being the key. What if you ain't around to spend all that money you made because
That
of
part? That part.
The right now, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to knock out as many transfers as I can in a small room. My kids in another room playing a Nintendo with a, I'm so old, whatever game system, and
Right.
you know, all of us is being introduced to this powder all the time, nonstop. All of a sudden, we got breathing conditions, upper respiratory. I'm just hypothetically speaking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But those are all things that you have to think about, you know, when you're getting into this. And so, yeah, those are all real things. And what good would it be for you to go into this and your only objective is the money? Everything has to be done safely. And so I don't know about you, but you know, I love these good lungs that I have. And
Right.
you know, I love my family. And so for me, like that's where it all really started, was because I started this in my home and I was a stickler for everything ventilation. And you know, that's really when I really kind of took that deep dive into making sure that things were set up correctly. To not introduce, you know, anything harmful to my family, and try and like kind of bring that down and make sure that we were doing it correctly. And so moving out of the home, I feel the same way, because even if I were to have an employee, I wouldn't want my employee just walking around mindlessly inhaling you know, these fumes and exposing them. Anyone that's in my space, it's not just my family, it's anyone that comes to the space. I feel like that's my responsibility. And so, you know, I feel very strongly about that. And that's why I say I'm not a fan of just, you know, popping up a DTF printer and curing it wherever you want to.
Good. So we've been here, we kept you for a little over an hour. I think that is a perfect place to stop with what you just said.
Okay.
Can you please shout out your socials?
Okay.
Where they can find you?
So you can find me at Pink's Teas and Things here on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, and over on Facebook as well.
So thank you, Claudia. This interview was dope. I can't wait to get this one up. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for the knowledge you brought.
Greatly
Thanks for having me.
And when you know, we need them secrets to be dropped.
I'll message you.
Right on. Right on.
And I'll say, I'm ready.
All right. I'm ready for you. Look.
Absolutely.
Right on. Right on. Looking forward to
it. Keep being the queen of DTF. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun. So you guys make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on that bell notification as well for Squad Creators Podcast on TSH Network.